Last week, I shot a video about crying, and this happened.
It's up to our generation to redefine what being a man is.
This begs the question, why do we have to redefine what being a man is? What does the current state of masculinity look like? All around the globe, creators in the niches like self-improvement, red pill, and anything related to this topic are speaking about the war on masculinity.
Why do you think there is such a crisis of masculinity?
It's not just about, wearing skirts that makes you more feminine. It's about not being responsible. Being a man means being a leader.
Don't make excuses. Don't blame any other person or any other thing.
What do you think about the term toxic masculinity?
I think it's a toxic term.
None of these things are biologically determined, that there is no natural essence to anything, that everything is a social construct.
Because by putting those two words right next to each other, it actually repels a lot of boys and men from a conversation about what it means to be a man.
We now are free to choose our own destiny.
You think masculinity is toxic?
I do, I really do.
Perception of it is.
Whole notion, like the original notion of boys will be boys, is not necessarily harmful.
No, it's not.
Yes.
Because we are deemed to be these characters that are meant to be strong in public, or meant to be like the stereotypical breadwinners. Don't necessarily have the time to be emotional.
Whatever Andrew Tate says goes.
Masculinity in and of itself is not toxic, but I think it's when it starts being used to impose systems of power and oppression that it starts becoming something that's dangerous to society.
Yeah. For me, typical societal gender roles shouldn't be a thing.
It's a society where men are needed.
You should be comfortable being a woman.
So to say that masculinity is toxic is essentially saying that men are not needed in society.
When you are with your guy, allow him to be masculine and make you feminine.
For me, I'm very much of an economic mindset. Me and my woman are both contributing things to this relationship.
Once boys will be boys starts getting used to cover up locker room talk or behaviors that border sexual assault or to cover actual sexual violence, then that's when masculinity starts becoming harmful.
Masculinity in its entirety, or certain part of it, everything about being masculine is toxic?
Just certain parts of it, how there's limits to it, how men should dress a certain way, think a certain way, carry themselves a certain way, just because that's how it was passed out to a lot of people through generations.
You shouldn't be using it to justify stuff, saying, oh, men just do this, men just do that. I think one of the other things where people use the thing of, oh, that's just how boys are. It's when they say, oh, men take longer to mature, so allow them to do that, allow them to act that way, act a bit stupid. It's just not okay.
You're born with certain genitalia, That's your sex. Gender is a very different conversation. And these roles of masculinity and femininity are very much gender roles, which can change. Gender for me is a very fluid thing. It's on a spectrum.
Let's just be realistic about this. Yes, there are things that we can do as much as men can, but we can put a man and woman, their strengths are different.
Obviously, she can give things to the relationship that I can't, and vice versa.
What can a woman do that you can't?
Okay, let me say, my woman, is way better with children, for example.
Okay, because the thing is, right, there is something known as toxic masculinity, where it exists, right? Yeah. And then there's just masculinity, which is what it means to be a man, right?
So let's try and define the two, because I guess there's a blurry line and people speak about the two terms interchangeably. Mm-hmm. So what is toxic masculinity and what is masculinity?
Denying anything that's inherently feminine, having empathy. Some men think that's, oh, you're being a woman now. Or having a clean room. Some people think oh, that's disgusting. Act like a woman now.
Toxic masculinity, well, first of all, you have to actually define what the basis of what masculinity is. What masculinity is different to every man. But the thing is, for me personally, as a Christian as well, the way that I base my masculinity is entirely off of how God bases off his masculinity and how he basically says that we should be. And essentially that would be, a man is supposed to be someone who serves. And because a man is someone who serves, essentially that means that you're looking out for the best interests of others. Hence why you'll notice that the expectation of what it means to be a man is that you should open the door, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this first.
Men take on responsibility, right? They feel a need to take on responsibility for everybody around them, right? Which is nice and it can be comforting, but also at the same time, you can't You can't do it all the time. Sometimes you have to look out for yourself.
Sometimes you have to ask for a hand.
Yeah.
Maybe come ride this ride with
exactly.
you.
Right.
Obviously, it's not necessarily saying that we should do everything, but the position to have to, how can I put this, serve is the biggest part of it, right?
We already have our own rights now.
You're asking, you do. Yeah, you do.
What we misunderstanding, like she said, our parents were raising us to be submissive, do what husband wants, listen to him, cook for him. Like, you can still do that. But with the idea in this new age, we mixed it. I think that we are just trying to overtake that.
So it's not necessarily like, I'm the man, you look after the kids or something like that, right? I can contribute in ways that need contribution. She can't look after the kids and then clean after them. What am I doing?
But like, there's nothing wrong with liking sports or liking playing sports or watching sports. It's
but
just
when you use characteristics like that,
or you'll say like, oh no, women's sports isn't the same or it isn't as good just because there isn't men in it. That's not okay.
I think the idea of being masculine, I think it's just to be a strong man, good characteristics, and you have like a good set of morals, and you have a how do I say this? You're intelligent, and I guess with the intelligence, you're expected to be emotionally intelligent. But like I say, with toxic masculinity, I think it more has to do about how society has to view that, and it takes away the emotional aspect of it. And
how would you define masculinity, and if you were given the opportunity, what would you change about it?
Masculinity is, man, I don't know, I'm not gonna lie.
How would you want it to be?
How would I want masculinity to be? Just be free. I can't really force anyone to be how I want them to be. But if I had control of your life as a male, just be free, be self-expressive, and don't let what other men say carry the way your mind thinks. High key.
Now, men, we live in a society where we're constantly just having voices trying to demean us. And notice that the reason why masculinity instead of femininity is being attacked is because masculinity takes that leading role. You attack the people that you tend to fall at a specific higher point of view. And I'm not saying that men are higher than women in any sense. I'm saying that it's just expected for a man to take a leading role, and that leading role should be carrying out with service. And if they're not doing that, it's automatically toxic.